What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are having a good start to your weekend. And things feel kind of quiet for me today. Things feel pretty chill. There's no Huskies game. Usually I'd be talking about a Huskies game, but no game today. Going to be one more Husky game this year, and for all I know, it's going to be more than a month down the line. So, not a lot going on there. There's really not a lot of intrigue with this Seahawks Falcons game beyond what I've already talked about. The Seahawks have nobody questionable, and I don't think they're even going to elevate anyone from the practice squad because I don't think they have room now that Reed and Love are back. So we got a couple guys with the Falcons who could play or could not play, I guess. But today feels just kind of, at least in terms of how I usually talk about my sports teams, kind of dead. So let's talk about something a little different today. All right, everybody, before we go any further, let's get some picks in over on Sleeper. If you're not using the Sleeper app for daily fantasy football this year, you are missing out. Check out the left side of your screen. Look at all the fun stuff you can get up to over there. Look at all these mores or lesses that you can pick. Let's put our entry together for this week. I've got JSN scoring an anytime touchdown. Didn't happen last week, but I'm feeling a bounce back this week. I got Chase Brown getting at least 52 rushing yards against the Bills. I got Chan getting at least 78 rushing yards against the Jets. And I've got the under on Gentil rushing yards at 53 and a half. So get on over to Sleeper, put your entries together. They can look just like this. Remember to use the promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check out Sleeper today. Go have some fun and experience sports the way they were meant to be. So, I'm going to ask a question that I never thought in a million years I would ask, ever. No matter how long I lived, no matter how long the NFL was around, no matter how long the Seattle Seahawks were around, I was pretty confident I'd never even entertain something like this. But I think that we got to at least explore it a little bit. And if nothing else, it's going to be a fun experiment. So, is this defense, here's the question. This defense, the 2025 Seahawks defense, is this defense the best defense in Seahawks franchise history? And I say that knowing what our franchise's history is, knowing what we have done, and knowing what kind of unit the Seahawks rode when they won their first and currently only Super Bowl championship. So that's quite something to say. Yeah, that 2013 defense, which was by a pretty good margin the best defense in the league that year in 2013, the defense that completely destroyed the greatest offense in NFL history in the Super Bowl, the defense that averaged nearly 2 takeaways a game and was so stacked with talent and stayed remarkably healthy all year. Not only did I not think the Seahawks would ever put together a defense on the level of, much less better than that defense, I didn't think any NFL team would be able to do it. I didn't think that the modern NFL lended itself to defense being good enough and enabled enough to play at that level ever. And I know there have been some units that have come close, like the no-fly zone Broncos were really good. You can probably find a couple of other units that were close, but to me, that 2013 Seahawks defense had a real good chance to go down as maybe the last truly great defense in NFL history. But I think the NFL has kind of swung back and it's opened the door for not only just any team in general, maybe making a little bit of an argument here, but I think the Seattle Seahawks are actually putting their case out there. So let's discuss this. Let's try to solve this. Let's try to figure this out and get to the bottom of it. Is this 2025 Seattle Seahawk defense on the level of, and then possibly even better than the 2013 defense? And on the surface, I think the instinctive answer is no. You look at the surface level stuff. The 2013 Seahawks allowed an average of 14.4 points a game. And as of right now, this Seahawks defense in 2025 has allowed an average of 18.1 points per game. So that's a little more than 3.5 points more. That's a little less. That's non-trivial, right? We're not talking about 1 or 2 points here. That's more than 3.5. And this Seahawks defense, in terms of points allowed, is not even the best defense in the league this year. They're actually not even the best scoring defense in their own division. But I do think that era matters, right? 2013 and 2025, they're still different, right? The Super Bowl 48, which the Seahawks won, changed the rules with pass defense in the NFL in a way that still hasn't really shifted all the way back. So we are talking different eras here. It is possible that allowing 18 points a game now is just as impressive as allowing 14.5 points in 2013. It's possible. Now, that's just points, honestly. That only tells you a tiny part of the picture here. And I know it seems like it's the only thing that matters. It's really not. There are so many other things that go into this. So let's dive a little bit deeper into it. Let's look at EPA per play. Now, you look at the Seahawks defense by EPA per play. It's certainly very, very good. It's one of the best in the league, but your initial reaction might be that really isn't anything to write home about historically. Their EPA per play is negative 0.103, third in the league. Same order at the top three, by the way, for the best teams. And, what are we doing here? The 2013 Seahawks were obviously better in EPA per play. More on that in a second here. But here's an interesting thing. So you take this exact same data, but you filter out the garbagiest of garbage time, which is to basically say filter out any play where the win probability for the leading team was 98% or higher. So you get rid of pure garbage time. Look at what happens. Seattle's EPA per play skyrockets, or I guess rather it goes down, but it goes in the good direction for the defense to negative 0.139, basically negative 0.14. So suddenly, with that tiny adjustment, you just take out plays that don't really matter, the garbagiest of the garbage time. Like, I could expand it out a little bit and go to like 5% and still feel like I'm capturing things, but just that 2% adjustment. Now, look at how far ahead we are of everyone else. Negative 0.139. Not quite lapping the field, but pretty darn good. Now, going back to 2013, the Seahawks defense, and shout out to Seahawks Nerd for finding this because it's hard to find EPA data on older seasons sometimes. The 2013 Seahawks defense was negative 0.17, which is better, right? That is better. Again, I think era matters a little bit. Also, it's worth noting that since this tweet points this out, over the last 7 games, Seattle's EPA per play on defense has been negative 0.36, which is comical. Like, that is beyond that would be the best defense in NFL history by a wide margin if you did that over all 17 or I guess 16 games. However you want to slice it, this is ridiculous. This is equivalent to like a quarterback averaging 700 passing yards a game over a 2-month stretch. Like, this is absolutely out of this world. And the 2013 Seahawks defense, their best 7-game stretch was negative 0.23. So what the Seahawks defense has done in the last couple of months is way better than anything that 2013 team ever did. This Seahawks team is being dragged down by some of their early season games, like against the Buccaneers most obviously, but even like the Cardinals game wasn't amazing in some ways, right? Because you gave up all those points at the end. And the defense has definitely found a much higher gear since then. But for whatever it's worth. I know that you could look at this and filter it the other way and say, hey, our defense has been more our defense was more consistent in 2013. Valid. But I do find it interesting that this Seahawks defense over the last couple of months has been lapping the field. Negative 0.36 is absolutely unimaginable. And you might have an instinctive reaction to say it's the schedule. The 2025 Seahawks defense, not that impressive because they got to play Max Brosmer. They got to play both Arizona quarterbacks, whichever one you think is worse. We got to play a game against one of them. We got to play shoot. Who else? We got to play, well, we didn't really get to play Mariota because he only went in at the end of the game, so you couldn't even really say that. But I think there's an instinctive desire to say, oh, well, the Seahawks defense this year isn't as good because of the schedule. Here's the thing. If you go back to 2013, the 2013 Seahawks defense, did you know, and I didn't know this until I actually looked this up. I actually had to go through it and double check myself to make sure this was true, and I was really surprised. The Seattle Seahawks played 0 games in 2013 against a top 9 scoring offense. They did not play a top 9 scoring offense the entire regular season or in the NFC bracket for the postseason. They did not play a top 9 offense in scoring until the Super Bowl. They played one top 10 offense in the season, New Orleans, who was 10th, and every other game was against an offense that was either above average, average, below average, bad, or terrible. In fact, they played 4 games against bottom 5 offenses. We got to play Jacksonville with, I think, Chad Henne. We got to play Houston with David Carr right as David Carr was completely decomposing. Remember that? The pick 6 year? If you're old enough, you might remember David Carr breaking every pick 6 record in 2013. We got to play the Titans. I think they had Ryan Fitzpatrick before Fitzpatrick was Ryan Fitzmagic. We got to play, I don't even know who the Rams had at quarterback this year, but it was not somebody who to be proud of. We got to play Mike Glennon. And by the way, he actually kind of beat us up, funnily enough. This 2013 gamut that we ran, it was actually really soft. I was very surprised. No top 9 scoring offenses until the Super Bowl. The 2025 Seahawks, these Seahawks, now to this point, they've played one top 10 offense, which is, of course, the Rams, right? And other than that, their schedule has been similarly kind of soft in this area. And Max Brosmer is admittedly worse than any quarterback that we played in 2013, I think. I don't think you can get much worse than rookie Brosmer in his first NFL start. So I'm not saying that the 2025 team has had it really hard, but that 2013 team probably had it a little bit easier even. And that surprised me, but I went through it and I was like, wow. Like, we played good teams. The Panthers were really good, but their offense was not that great. The 49ers were excellent, but their offense was like above average. So one interesting wrinkle here, of course, is that the Seahawks are going to have to prove themselves against 2 really good offenses the rest of the way. We got the Colts, who are probably going to finish top 5, and we got the Rams again, who might finish top 5 as well. So we're going to get a chance to cut our teeth against better offenses later this season. But realistically, even if you say, well, those games haven't happened yet, so they don't really qualify, you would still probably say that 2013 team had a little easier time of it. Like, we got to play the 32nd ranked offense, the 31st, the 30th, the 28th. We had some layups. Like more layups than we've had this year. So it's a little more interesting than you thought, I bet. So in order to go deeper into this, I think we're going to have to do a little bit more of a granular breakdown with the actual rosters and the players. But that's going to be for a video later today because I don't want to make one video half an hour long. All right, let me know what your initial take is here. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks.